So we're here to talk about your new album.
Good. I hope people here in New Zealand, because I've got a few fans there in New Zealand who love this album.
Yeah. 1,000 Hands, Chapter 1, which of course lends us to think there's going to be a Chapter 2.
Yeah, working on it now.
Good on you. I hope I'm not holding it up. But from what I understand, the first one is like 29 years in the making or something. What's the story behind that?
30 years ago, I started the recordings up in a place called Big Bear, which is the ski resort near Los Angeles. And I wanted to get away from the world, and I had a little 16-track Teac, 12-track Teac. And I went up there with a friend of mine, Brian Chatton, who was in my first band. He was in the band called The Warriors in the 60s.
Oh, I was going to ask you who he was, because I saw he co-wrote several of the songs with you.
Yeah. I just asked him to come up and write some music, and we'll record some songs. And he's from Bolton. So he's a bit daft, bit silly, bit funny. 2 months of laughing a lot, smoking a lot, and having a good time. And actually, I went down to Los Angeles because Chris Squire and Alan White were down there while we were recording, and I got them to play on a couple of tracks.
Right.
And I started thinking, why not ask a few people who I know, in the musicians around to play on the record. I was going to call it Us Lot, which means a lot of us in north of England, And so for some strange reason, Brian Chatton went to Chicago to do some recording on another project. I went on tour with Kitaro, a famous Japanese keyboard player. And life happened. And I think Brian ran away with a girl, something like that.
Something like that.
And, so the tapes were in my garage, and I met my wife and everything and fell in love and moved up here. And the tapes are still in my garage for 28 years. And sounds crazy, right?
Yep.
They were there in the corner of the garage. And so I got a phone call 2 years ago, about this time actually, from a producer called Michael Franklin, who knew Brian Chatton and had tried to make one or two of the songs into sort of pop songs. And I said, no, you're losing the impetus. What they are very interesting songs. Anyway, Michael Franklin said, where are the tapes? And I said, in the garage. What do you want? He said, well, send them to me. He lives in Orlando, Florida.
Right.
And so I sent him the tapes, and he put them in an oven to bake them, because tapes, they wear out, after years and years like that. And they only played once, straight to the computer, and they sounded wonderful.
I bet they did. Yeah, well, they do. I've heard the album.
It sounded good. And what he did, within a week, he put Jon Anderson from Jethro Tull to play on a track called Activate Me.
Right.
And I said, Michael, that's the way to go. How many people do you know? He said, oh, I've been on tour with Chuck Berry for 15 years. So I know a lot of musicians. So
right, yeah.
Him and his brother, So that was it. As I say, it's about 2018, September, October, November. He just put a lot of people on, like Chick Corea.
Yeah, I saw the list is incredible. There's like Chick Corea, Billy Cobham, JeanLuc Pont, Steve Moore. I mean, it's just like, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, I'd worked with JeanLuc Pont about 3 years earlier. We toured together, and good friends. JeanLuc Pont is like my brother from a different mother, because he was born in Brittany. And my great grandparents on my mother's side are from Brittany. So I like French people.
There you go.
And, all is good. It was interesting that he got Tower of Power to play on a fun song, which makes me happy.
Right.
And every week he brings somebody else on. Zap Mama from Belgium, one of the great vocalizing people from, so it's a group of 7 girls, most of them, 1 or 2 from Africa, I think. So as time went along, we finished the album Christmas 2018, and I was very excited because the last track, there was a song called Now, which was 3 minutes long. This is from Big Bear. And it just like, you know, one of those songs you went on and on and on. And I thought, why don't we have it at front, middle, and end, like bookends, you know?
Yep.
So the last time we played on the record is at the end with some lovely strings.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll call up Steve Howe because he owes me one.
I'll bet he does.
Yeah, because I sang on his album that he did about Bob Dylan songs. I sang Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands.
Very nice.
One of my favorite. And so Steve played guitar on the track.
Yep.
I got the track here, and it was the last couple of days before we were going to master it. And I went, Steve's playing guitar. I got to sing something. So I sang a sort of song for him about how we worked together in the 70s and wrote songs. And, you know, he's my brother and musical brother, like everybody.
Yep.
And that was the end of the album. Strangely, but we couldn't get a record company interested for a whole year.
Oh, man.
Well, we thought we were going to go on tour. I thought we were going to go on tour to promote the album, come out last summer.
Right.
So I got together with a bunch of musicians from Orlando, and we got fantastic musicians, and we did some shows in the spring of last year and then the autumn of last year. And then we found a record company guy called Blue Elan. Oh, yeah. Sort of a boutique record company in Los Angeles. And he liked it. He liked the album. And it's just come out.
Exactly. That last track you were talking about, that's the one, it's like 8.5 minutes long now, right?
Well, there's one called 1,000 Hands Come Up.
Yes.
And then it leads into Now and Again.
I see. Okay. Very cool. Yeah. So it's nice to hear you. It's nice that you and Steve are working together a little bit, because the impression from outside of the Yes, whatever it is that everybody's stomping around, not talking to each other, and you know.
Well, you know, like family. You know, family. You have a family. Sometimes you get on, sometimes you don't.
Right. Right.
You know, what I say is that what I've learned is outside influences change the dynamic. You know, a producer, a manager. I'm going to talk to a couple of the guys in the band, and then they want to go to do this and to do that. And all of a sudden the band's going like a big jello, not quite knowing where it's going. We had 5 really good years with Yes in the 70s. Very much like the Beatles had 5 good years, you know.
Yep.
But after a while, you know, people want to go this way, people want to go that way. And, you know, life happens. And I got very sick 12 years ago. And my beautiful wife saved my life, actually. And I was in a coma for about 4 days. And I realized that, you know, life's too short to, you know, run around waiting for something to happen in life. You know, just make it happen.
Yep.
Get out there. And so me and Jane, my wife, we went on tour just with a guitar. And I love that. It's just me and a guitar and my lovely wife having fun.
And that's the way it should be. Yeah. Yeah. So getting back to the album, is there overarching theme to it? Because it kind of feels like there is, but I want you to tell me if there is or not.
Well, I always write about positive feelings and a realization that slowly but surely we're sort of waking up and dreaming much more. It reminds me of the 60s, this 2020. There's so many people marching and challenging everybody to, come on, we're all one on this planet. Let's look after the planet, you know?
Yep.
And in the songs I sing about that somehow, you know, make love, not war. That's in Makes Me Happy, I think. and they think John Lennon, make love, not war, yeah. And
Yep.
things like that. It's a repetition that we need to wake up to. And I think, you're very blessed to live in New Zealand,
Yes,
because they just get on with life.
that's fact.
Yeah, and I've always been very interested in the development of understanding the spiritual awareness of the divine that surrounds us and the nature of life and everything
Right.
like that. Not religious person at all, just spiritual
Yeah.
well-being, and that's all in the songs, and yeah, it's been like that from the beginning of Yes, because it's like a very positive attitude to things.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned Jean-Luc Pont, and I was wondering on tracks I Found Myself in Twice in a Lifetime, especially on Twice in a Lifetime. Is that him playing like the intro of that thing?
No, Twice in a Lifetime is an old friend, and I wish I had his name written down. I keep forgetting it. And
That's all right.
he actually he's one of the top session violin players in Los Angeles, and I actually worked with him on an album called Teac, and also he played on another project I was doing in Los Angeles. A beautiful guy. I think he's from the Lebanon, actually. Lovely violin player.
Cool. And there's an accordion on that track as well.
Yeah, that was so cool. Michael Franklin, you see, because Michael Franklin's a keyboard player,
Right.
and he would upgrade the songs and just add that color texture here and there, and that's very smart. A really smart producer. He listened to me a lot, and things I would ask, like there's a track called Ramalama, and I said to him, when the chorus comes in, could you put in a banjo, please? Oh yeah, no problem. Throws in a banjo. I said, that's it. That was what I was looking for, somebody picking on the banjo.
Very good. Ramalama Ding Dong.
Yeah, I only heard that 3 weeks ago.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I got a girl's name.
Because Ramalama comes from Indonesia. It's an Indonesian word for all the gods in the garden or something like that.
Gotcha.
Gods of flowers, gods of trees, gods of sky.
Very cool. The one song I wanted to touch on was Firstborn Leaders.
Yeah.
And because you mentioned like a bunch of names of folks, I'm not sure who they are, and it also has a little bit of a reggae beat to it, which is kind of interesting. So maybe you can tell me what was behind that song.
Well, reggae is like natural for me because I used to live in the Caribbean a lot, and I studied the Ethiopian music. Ethiopian music is very, very, very special. It sort of reaches to all different corners of the earth, And the idea was, I was just writing this song up in Big Bear, and I just started writing down people's names and writing something about them, and thinking, it's just anybody. It could be anybody. It's like people do these things, get on the bicycle, and some guy goes around and sings up in the mountains and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And we went on tour. I couldn't remember the names, so I had a piece of paper every time we went on stage. I call it a cheat sheet.
Right.
And I'd have the names written down, and I still can't remember the names. And the lyrics that I've written over the years, I cannot remember these names. It's so funny.
And if you're like me, you probably can't read your own handwriting either.
That's true. But it's kind of off-putting when you're trying to sing to the audience. You keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the thing that always amazes me about Bob Dylan whenever I see him. I never see him with any lyrics anywhere. There's no prompter or anything. How does he remember them all?
Well, he makes them up, as he goes along.
Oh, that's true. He does change them.
Yeah. In those days, that was it. I remember seeing Bob Dylan play and perform, and he was on a tour of Europe, and my drummer from my Warrior days, Ian Wallace, was in his band.
Oh, right.
So I went to see him. Yeah, I went to see him in London, and it was probably the best concert concert I've ever seen Bob Dylan perform. He was quite brilliant. He
Yeah.
really was. But he got so much flack from American press, you know, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how he suffered a lot from the bad press. Maybe he had a couple of bad shows, but he was brilliant. And
Yeah,
I kid you not, he was
I
amazing.
believe it. I mean, I've seen Dylan a lot, and sometimes he can be brilliant. Most times he's brilliant, but there's a few bad shows in there.
Yeah, special.
Yeah, exactly. And I just watched the documentary about the band and Robbie Robertson, and they're talking about the tour of England that the band did with Dylan in '66 and how they got booed everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's amazing.
It was like, what the hell? Come on. Bob wanted to rock and roll, man.
What's wrong with that? How can you do that? Yeah.
No.
One other song I wanted to touch on was WDMCF, which I assume stands for Where Does Music Come From?
Right. Again, that was, I did the vocalizing a couple of weeks earlier before we started,
right,
in the summer of 2018. And it was just a nice vocalization idea. And then Michael Franklin did some work on it on his way to China on his computer, on his laptop, and it sounded fantastic.
There you go. It's as easy as that.
Yeah. I'm taking a sweet in my throat.
Sure.
There you go.
Now the album is finally out.
Yeah.
And you're in the States, so everything's kind of come to a screeching halt. Are you making plans? Are you sitting around writing songs? What are you up to?
I'm finishing about 5 projects that I've been waiting to finish for the last 15 years or so, and I'm working on it. It's like every day I'm in the studio 6 hours a day and getting a lot done, which I'm very happy about.
Right.
And you know, I'm very workaholic. I love creating music, so I'm going to get a lot done, and then next spring go on tour with the band from Orlando, and hopefully good. Tour around the world. You know, if the album does well and people want to see you, then we'll be coming your way. We'll be coming to New Zealand, for God's sake. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we actually are in a position where we can have live music, and we kind of beat the virus, but we can't allow people into the country unless they go into quarantine for 2 weeks.
Right. Well, you know, you did very, very well with that.
Yeah.
You know, USA is upside down.
I know.
You know, we are very upside down here. But, you know, I believe it's a wake-up call for all people to realize how beautiful Mother Earth is and how we're all connected in so many different ways, and we should understand to love one another right now.
Right on. All righty. Well, thank you very much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. It's great because I've seen you so many times in the past.
Thank you. Lovely to talk to you too.
You too. Well, hopefully we'll see you down these parts at some point in the not too distant future.
I really hope so. I'll keep praying. We're going to be there.
And we'll look out for chapter 2.
Yeah, it'll come. We'll get it done probably in the new year.
Very good. See you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yep.
Bye-bye.